Hey, good morning to everyone out in Nordlycke skolans group. It's been a while since I left a video, so it's due time. I'm sure everyone's wondering what's next. So I'll be explaining that shortly. One thing first, I did put an uppgift on Google Classroom about the last writing assignment. I read through everybody's texts about resolutions or life resolutions, and they looked good. Everybody looked like they understood what was expected of them. But I did put up a checklist that I'd like you to go through, read your own text, go through the checklist, and make sure that you have everything on there. It might be that you already have everything, but I really would like all students, not just you three, but all students to get used to reading through your papers, editing, maybe even 2 to 3 times, because when you get into gymnasiet, you guys know that that's going to be very important. You want to catch as many mistakes as possible. You want to make sure that you have a good flow and all those things that go into making a good text. So that checklist will help you think about what you need. Go through your text, look at it, see if you can catch any spelling mistakes, any grammar mistakes, even if they're small, and make sure that it flows, make sure that your paragraphs are being used well. Title is now introduction and conclusion, where basically for the A, if you're going for an A, make sure there's some form of introduction and some form of conclusion. You can make I believe you can go back into the document and make the changes yourself if you find any, and then resubmit it. Or on that I think it was on that assignment that I just put up, you can copy and paste. So take the old text, copy it, that's what it was, copy and paste it into the new one, and then make the changes and then submit it there. So there's no confusion. Yeah, that's out of the way. So I was hoping that would get done this week, but I'm not sure if you guys saw that. I'm not going to hold it against you if you didn't see it. So please get that done as soon as you can. It's just a matter of reading through your text, editing, going through the checklist, and then submitting both the checklist and the new text. And then I'll go back in, read your texts more thoroughly, and look for any mistakes or any suggestions myself. So our goal and our aim is to not grade the first paper, but to get to the point where it can be as good as it can be. And that's what I want you guys to do, to start thinking about as you go into gymnasium and things. And I think you three do a good job of that, but it's always good to keep practicing. Okay, and then the next part that we're getting into is a sports and games theme. In a lot of my classes, we talked about general sports, different kind of sports, what you need to play them, these kind of things. I'm not going to bother going into too much of that with you three, but I'm going to jump directly into the next assignment, which is to come up with your own sport. Have you ever thought about if you would want to play your own sport, or if you want to? Have you ever thought about making up some kind of game or sport or something like that? It can be interesting, can be fun to think about, even if you're not completely into sports, and not everybody is, of course, but it can be some kind of fun game that you can do with friends or things like that as well, some kind of physical activity. To do so, we're going to look at a sport that has been completely made up. And the first one that came to my head, and the one that I thought that has been best or most developed, was Quidditch from Harry Potter. Most people are familiar with it. So the next part of the video will be about Quidditch. So, Quidditch from Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling had, of course, come up with a complete sport for the books and the films, in which she had to think about lots of different things. There'll be a presentation, a Google presentation on Google Classroom you can look at, as well as a text that I'm going to have you guys read to prepare for this assignment, which will both be making a video and in text form. But one thing you have to think about is the field or the pitch that the sport is played on, or the place where it's played. And you can see here this is an oval-shaped pitch with 3 hoops on each side that the teams have to defend. Another thing to think about would be, of course, the equipment. In this case, there would be brooms, the hoops, and this set of 4 different balls. The reading and the presentation will go into more detail about them, but we have the quaffle in the middle, 2 bludgers, and what's called the golden snitch at the top. Next, we move on to positions. These players are called the chasers. They use the quaffle to score to throw it through the hoops to score 10 points each time they do so. And they can be quite rough with each other. The whole sport is quite rough. It's kind of like rugby in that sense. But their job is to fly around and try to score the quaffle through the hoops and defend the other ones from doing so as well. The next position would be called the beater, and the beaters generally protect their teammates and are also allowed to hit the bludgers with their wooden mallets into the other team, knocking them off their brooms if possible. Then we have the keeper, the goalkeeper, who of course their job is to block any shot attempt from scoring a goal. And it's fairly straightforward. A lot of teams also often use them offensively as well. And then, of course, we have the position of the seeker, which is Harry Potter's famed position. Probably one of the tougher positions in the game because they have to find the golden snitch, which is a magically enchanted golden ball with wings that can fly, dart, and hover around, and basically does what it likes. And these seekers have to chase it, find it, chase it down, catch it. If they do so, they score 150 points, and the game is finished. Usually that means their team wins, but there's been some exceptions in that. So there we have the very quick version of what Quidditch is. Like I said, there is a video, there'll be a video on the next assignment on Google Classroom. There's a Google presentation. There might be a few videos. There is a video at the end of the Google presentation that introduces Muggle Quidditch, which a Muggle is a person that doesn't have magic as one of their powers, right? So no wizards and witches, normal people like me. So basically, it's university kids, college kids who have came up with a real version of Quidditch, which I think is pretty interesting that they took the time to do so. So start thinking about your sports. Start thinking about what you would need. Start thinking about how you would play, the players, the positions, what you need to do to win, the rules, and these kinds of things. We'll be getting into that shortly, so don't worry about it too much right now. But for now, we're just going to look into Quidditch and use that as an example and as an outline for our own sports. Okay, so look for that on Google Classroom shortly. And I hope you guys are all having great weeks and great terms. And don't forget to let me know if you have any questions or need anything. Okay, take care. Bye.